Okay, to start this video off, I want to run you through the overall premise of A.I. The Somnium Files, a detective visual novel game released in 2019. You play as Kaname Date, a detective who is a part of the top-secret police department A.L.I.S.O.N, which specializes in investigating a subject's unconscious and furthermore dreams to find clues to solve a crime, a process called syncing. Date is called to investigate the murder of Shoko Nadame, who was found tied to a carousel with one eye gouged out, similar to a series of murders 6 years ago. That is A.I. The Somnium Files Wikipedia synopsis. So now I am going to explain with no context given and without spoiling much of anything at all, my synopsis of A.I. The Somnium Files. Please bear with me for a minute. Date dodges bullets in an encounter with the Yakuza by looking for a porn magazine. You get transported into a world where everything is Minecraft and dance to Japanese K-pop to create a hyper killer blaster to kill aliens. You storm a criminal warehouse with a 4chan user, a down bad Yakuza boss, and a superpowered 12-year-old child and succeed the infiltration. You have a conversation with that 12-year-old child about how to win a fight. You must prep your mind and provides the examples through strip club metaphors. That same 12-year-old child can rep 250 pounds casually, and you help a kid become an anime hero by encouraging him to beat the crap out of a serial killer polar bear. Welcome to A.I. The Somnium Files, a game where insanity is the norm. This is all what comes to mind if you ask me to describe what the experience of playing A.I. The Somnium Files is like, and I hope I've established clearly that this is a game that is insane enough to have a polar bear chainsaw people in half and a pop star be hunted by an underground organization ran by aliens. However, to simply pass off A.I. The Somnium Files as one of those games that was written by a crack fiend, I feel is a little dismissive, because even with its out there premise and insane qualities, as well as how much I made fun of them in this opening segment, A.I. The Somnium Files really got me to care. This is a game that made me care more about this mystery than I do in most TV shows. This is a game that made me laugh harder than that time my friend's dad stated in complete confidence that his flagpole has erectile dysfunction. And this game made me care about these characters and their fates more than I do in most pieces of media. I have grown to love A.I. The Somnium Files, and I want to make that clear from the get-go because this is a game that knows it's silly and plays into it, but also knows how to get you to truly care about what's going on, even if what's going on is it's absolute nonsense. So today, if you don't mind, I would like to invite you to listen to me try to frantically explain what this game is, why it's awesome, and why you, friendly stranger on the internet, should play it. And so to start this whole thing off, let me introduce the freakiest man you will ever meet. Kaname Date is an interesting individual, the kind of interesting in which he will ask somebody to drink radioactive chemicals for funsies. Born and raised in, Date became a detective for A.L.I.S.O.N, an agency who investigates crimes through exploring the culprit or witness's subconscious to find clues to solve said crime, those dreams ranging from being either nightmares, surreal, well, dreamscapes, or mundane areas tainted with the dark history of what happened there. Date comes across as a bit of a curveball. In a world where gruesome crimes are common sights and difficult conversations must be had, Date, upon first glance, seems perfect for the role. He's serious, polite, and carries the swagger of a disappointed dad. This is the kind of man who doesn't enjoy his job but knows somebody has to do it, and he does so with a sense of sincerity and awareness, understanding that it is truly his duty alone to provide closure to some people. And then you hear his thoughts and realize immediately that if you check this man into a mental hospital, the employees there would give up and check themselves in. You see, Kaname Date is just one of two investigators, the other being Iba, a sentient AI detective located in Date's left eye, the two acting as investigative partners. And through Iba, Date's thoughts about everything become vocal, as they are in a way a method of communication for Iba. And here you realize something. Date is like if you gave a 14-year-old a job as a detective. This man is hysterical. Date carries that disappointed dad kind of energy, especially to his adopted daughter / roommate Mizuki, while also being the exact person a dad would be disappointed in. He is stubborn, he is hysterical, and most prevalent is that this man is a freak on another level. Do you think I'm lying? I kid you not, this man gains heightened physical reflexes and strength after reading a porno magazine. I could be lying? True, here's the wiki. If you do not believe me, even still, here's this. Date is an imbecile, and to be fair, so is Iba. Let me make that clear. This virtual chick drinks radioactive soup before declaring that it is simply elephant. Nobody in this game is sane, okay? I want to make that clear now before we dive into the other characters, but let me say that as an example, your boss has a domination kink.
Hey, it's come to my knowledge that it's gonna be like the sort of Christmas season. It'll probably be after Christmas once this video is out, because I'm bad at like time management, and Shadow Generations is a lot of fun. But my Christmas present from me to you is boss's feet pics. Wait, don't flag this video for nudity.
However, what I freaking love about Date is that his characterization works because of Iba, and the same goes if you swap the formatting of that sentence. These two characters bounce off incredibly well with each other, and due to the game taking place 4 years after they started working together, you get the feeling that these two idiots have known each other for a while, but that they've also been there for one another for years, and that insulting each other and making each other drink elephant soup is just how they interact. Date's serious professional persona dissolving when talking to Iba, and Iba's straight to business nature becoming more scattered as she tries her best to keep Date's screws on tight. She fails that task, by the way. What shocked me about this game immediately, however, was just how quickly I came to care about both Date and Iba, both as individual characters but also as a duo. Date mysteriously lost his memory 6 years ago, meaning he does not know in part who he really is. He's a man whose identity died when he forgot who he was. However, through Iba, he is able to move past that. These two became like my little comfort characters immediately, just because of how much fun I was having watching these brainlets interact. However, what's even more awesome is that that same level of interaction is not limited to just the two protagonists. AI supporting cast are on a surface level intriguing. Within the first 2 hours of the game's length, you are introduced to about 80% of the people you are going to meet, the other 18% being introduced shortly thereafter in the following 4. And upon me saying that you meet that much of the cast in that short of amount of time, you could easily presume that they lack depth or that each character bleeds into one another. However, AI supporting cast is so unique in each one's characterizations, their skill sets and personalities, that right off the bat, these characters don't feel like they exist to move the plot along, but are just existing and living their everyday lives. They feel human and tangible, and that in part comes from the stellar art design by Yusuke Kozaki, but also the absolutely incredible dialogue from writer and director Kotaro Uchikoshi, a man whose work I have not experienced outside of this game, and trust me, that will change, man. I freaking love this game, but also one who, from what I've heard, has a knack for diving into these characters and creating realistic banter between them, and this is something that is incredibly prevalent in the Somnium files. Characters interact in a way that just as a player draws you into their lives and their thoughts about the world around them, while you try to figure out what their involvement is in the case, or even if they have any involvement at all. And this Friendly Strangers on the Internet was what I really wanted to talk about more than anything about this game, and that's the fact that the Somnium files knows when to have characters interact in conversation to the point of where it's kinda worthless in the grand scope of the story, and even sometimes it doesn't even flesh out a character more. Sometimes it's just you hanging out with these people and finding out what they are all about as people with little nods to their lives before meeting them and then diving into why they are the way they are. And man, I find that so cool because it gives you several opportunities to interact with these people and end up liking them on a surface level before diving into who they are under the surface and the oftentimes peaceful, sometimes tragic lives they have lived up to this point. And it gets you to really care about them initially before making you go from, wow, this is a fun character I would be friends with, to,
I would have been this crap-talking child's life with my own.
What the hell am I doing here? Oh my god, that hurts. However, sometimes it chooses not to do this. Like, take Oda, a guy you meet at an internet cafe making alternate accounts spewing garbage about a famous pop star, and then using his own personal account to defend her, making him look like a hero. Jesus, I knew guys in middle school that would pull this crap. Initially, I freaking hated Oda. He's like this 20-something-year-old simp that has no self-respect for himself and whose only defining trait is his undying affection for a Twitch streamer, A.S.O.N, who you come to know as Iris. However, over the course of the game, you learn about him and his family, his life, and the kind of person he is. You learn what makes him tick, what makes him Oda. And granted, he still is a simp, but he's one that you can empathize with because you find out through every little interaction more about him, right until the game fully reveals the kind of life he had lived and the people he still cares about. And they do this with everyone, from Iris, the same internet pop star that Oda is simping for, whose infectious positivity comes crashing down when learning about her past, or Falco, a prisoner whose life of regrets led him away from a peaceful family life, all the way to Mizuki, Date's adopted daughter / roommate who was actually found at the scene of the crime, the victim on the carousel being Mizuki's own mother, the game exploring that trauma in a meaningful way. Every character, no matter how small of a role, has a story to tell, like take Konami, or is it Kojima? Or is it Kadate? Wait, it's Kagami! And you might think, wow, Landon, that was not funny. I laughed as hard as I did gently opening the door in Doki Doki. Exactly, I didn't laugh, I cried. And to that, I say, I am sorry. Yeah, you should probably seek professional help, but that's a joke from the Somnium Files, as Date forgets Kagami's name throughout the entire near 30-hour campaign, and for the life of both us the player and him the individual, cannot remember it. However, another thing I love is that these aren't always jokes. Sometimes there are moments with real genuine emotion and care put into them that carry on throughout the course of the game as a reminder of the time that has passed by, but also the connections these characters have formed with one another, connections formed through the most bizarre and insane script I think I have ever seen executed in my entire life. A.I. the Somnium Files writing and narrative are absolutely wild to say the least, and from what I've heard, this isn't exactly anything new for Kotaro Uchikoshi. Uchikoshi is known for prioritizing the game's story primarily, and then after writing a basic outline of how he thinks the story will go, will start writing from the ending of the game the Yoko Taro way, creating the payoffs and then the initial cliffhangers as to not get confused writing himself.
Which I understand, because seriously, what is this video?
But to also not have reveals feel half-baked, and while I don't necessarily fully agree with the prioritization of story only and then creating the characters to fill out those spaces, the characters dance in such a unison with the story that it almost feels like they were written with each character and each story beat in mind. As I'm sure you're well aware, the story is insane and goes in pretty much every single direction you can think of, and that said, I'm not going to tell you how they accomplish this, but what I will say is that this is a game that's insanity is on the forefront, sometimes through the subconscious dreamscapes you explore, and sometimes through the real life stuff and detective work that make up 90% of this visual novel game. The game has stakes, and it clearly enjoys toying with them, switching your perspective of events in radically different ways. Sure, you do blast away aliens in Minecraft through the whimsical power of K-pop, but then they tie it somehow to a really touching hour of the game talking about terminal illness and the effects it has on the individual, as well as the people that care about them. And this is an aspect I think A.I. the Somnium Files does super well. It brings up a lot of issues, both interpersonal and societal, and makes them stay prevalent while also twisting them into the story in more ways than one, often in absolutely crazy ways. Now, I like surrealistic content. I made a whole video about it a while back, but the Somnium Files' fever dream-esque qualities feel less like a surrealistic trip and more like an amalgamation of the question, hey, Uchikoshi-san, how do we make a simp fight back against the serial killer polar bear? I shall tell you the way, Mr. Unnamed Coworker number 4. Toes. What in God's name is that supposed to mean? Sometimes it all feels like an insane thought right from Uchikoshi's soul, and I know this because there's about 30 lines of Date wanting to be boss's slave, and all I'm gonna say is, can you blame him? Overall, I'm reading over the script and starting to realize how little I said about this game and kinda glossed over a lot of moments and even sections of this game that I love, and you know what? I think that's okay. I played A.I. the Somnium Files blind, without context or anything. Heck, you the viewer know more about this game now than I did going into it. I didn't even know it was a visual novel. However, I still, even then, ended up loving it. This is a game that, at least for me, really clicked, and I hope it does the same to those of you out there that choose to play this game. There are admittedly moments in this lovely game that don't hit the mark, such as a few arguably predatorial jokes throughout the runtime and one of the last Somniums being so tight that it's frustrating. However, even then, I really enjoyed my time with Date, Aiba, and every single character in this game. It's kind of one of those games which really sucked me into this world and its story, and for that, I automatically cannot recommend enough. A.I. the Somnium Files was a game I did not think I would like, but I ended up loving. And I think that's why A.I. the Somnium Files is insane, and why I think you should care. Friendly strangers on the internet, thank you so much for watching. I really wanted to take it easy and make something simple rather than try to rush myself and make something super philosophical and poignant, and so I want to thank you for allowing me to be able to do that. Also, sorry for the voiceover in the past 4 minutes of the video. I got back from a trip and I actually got sick, and I'm on the back end of it now, but my voice is still really scratchy, so I apologize for the voiceover. I just wanted this thing done and out there. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season and new year, and that you enjoyed your time during that period. Next up is an actual year of media in review, or the best of, or whatever I call it, and this time I'll be doing both 2023 and 2024 to make up for the lack of one last year due to the time crunch I spent working on that Attack on Titan video. All that said, however, how are you guys doing? I hope you are doing well. I've been catching up on some games I've been meaning to play, some of which will be featured in the next video, as well as becoming an arcane stance. Seriously, a masterpiece of a show, but again, I'll save my breath for the next time. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, take care of others, and I will see you next time.
Can you ask Tessa if I can shake her hand?
He wants to see her boobs.
What the fuck?